It's just us.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of CCW Insider. This time, a special Tuesday edition. We are getting busy here at the Last Territory. I am your CCW correspondent, Tyler Cashmere, here joined by my broadcast colleagues. We got the Axeman, the man that gets all the answers, Axel Rome, here with also the best ring announcer going. She is the voice of the Last Territory. It is Lisi Almeida. Guys, how are we feeling?
Feeling good, feeling excited. We had a crazy Saturday, September to remember, and then an even crazier weekend coming up. So all things on go.
Yeah, that ladder match was insane. We got to see 10K Julio pull down that check. Unbelievable moment. We got to see S2S and Chris Farrow fly through the air, crash through that table. Just an unbelievable show all night long, and a really feel-good moment there at the end in that ladder match.
Now, guys, we got to move forward. I know as exciting as it was, and I was not able to be there, so I had that fear of missing out when I was there because I knew that I had missed out on some great moments there at Breakout, so I've been catching up all on social media about those crazy moments. The one that I was going to talk about with 10K Julio, and I called it last week on CCW Insider, did I not? Julio Caesar surprising everyone, going 2 years in a row. Congratulations to Julio and everyone involved in that ladder match. I know a lot of people laid their bodies out on the line. Only one person come out on top, and it was Julio Caesar, the kid. No one else, but congratulations to him. But this week we have two shows ahead of us, guys. That's right. We have our return to Port St. Lucie for Breaking Chains, and of course the debut of Bash at the Brew 45 at the Tank Brewery. There's so much to discuss. We weren't able to have a guest tonight. Why? Because we have a lot to talk about in these cards. We have a special announcement. Tyler, I know he's been cooking up on some breaking news. New matches have been added last minute for both Breaking Chains and Bash at the Brew. So the only way you're going to find out that exclusive information is by tuning in to CCW Insider. Tyler, myself, and Lizzie will have all that information for you guys. But before we start, Tyler, I think we're missing that intro, my man.
Let's get to it.
So let's get started. Breaking Chains, how are we feeling about our return to Port St. Lucie, you guys, with this epic showcase in the Mid-Florida Event Center, Port St. Lucie? Doors open at 8 o'clock. Of course, special pre-show matches at 7:30. So get your tickets now early if you haven't done so at ccwrestlingfl.com. Or, of course, you can join us there once we get at the venue. But, of course, like always, it's going to be a standing room only. So by the time you get there early and get those tickets in advance. But let's break down some of those matches. What do we have first and foremost, Tyler?
Well, first off, we're back in PSL, like you said, and what a just stacked weekend we have because, PSL is always our once every other month. There are super shows. Our fans from Kissimmee and Tampa, and then all our fans from South Florida, they meet up in PSL, and we just put on one hell of a show from every time we're there in the Mid-Florida Event Center. And let's just get started with a big rivalry match. The Knight Riders, it is the rematch from Bash of the Brew 44, where we saw Eddie Valentine defeat Joe Garcia in a little bit of controversial fashion there. And Joe Garcia is far from done with Eddie Valentine. Now, we've seen Valentine trying to recruit other Knight Riders. We saw it there at Breakout September to Remember. He tried recruiting Danny Danger. Didn't work out too great for Danny Danger. Then we saw the debut of Marvin Cruz, and it still didn't work out too great at the end of the day for Marvin Cruz. So Eddie Valentine trying to find a replacement for Joe Garcia. Easier said than done, because I think Joe Garcia is a one-of-a-kind type of guy. He's just unbelievably athletic in that ring. So much upside in Joe Garcia, and we're already seeing that with him. He's been looking really impressive in his separation from Eddie Valentine on this solos path, and I'm really excited for this match. And I think that we're going to see something different here from Joe. I think we have to, because what he brought to the table at Bash of the Brew 44, it just didn't cut it, and Eddie Valentine got the win. He picked apart Joe, and I think here is where Joe Garcia gets to get that defining moment at Breaking Chains in Port St. Lucie. What do you think about it, Lucy?
Well, you made a great point, Tyler, that Joe came up short at Bash 44, but since then, Joe has been relentless. He has been everywhere that Eddie is. I'm pretty sure Eddie's at the point where he's having Joe in his nightmares. So I think that we are definitely in for a brawl on Friday night. I think this comes into that territory of, good friends, better enemies. At the end of things, where there's only going to be one guy standing, and I'm going to say this: Eddie's a veteran. He taught Joe everything that he knows, but he didn't teach him everything he knows, if you understand that. That's another Bobby Heenan quote for you guys. So I'm gonna stand on the side with the sexiest man alive, Eddie Valentine, this Friday.
Damn, dropping quotes, dropping knowledge is Lacey Almeida. And I think one thing we have to find out, though, is not only, is Joe Garcia going to be, what is he going to be bringing different here? We got to ask the question of, who is Joe Garcia? We've always known Joe as the Knight Rider, as Eddie's protege, but now it's going to find out after this weekend. I think by Sunday, when the dust settles and these two have these crazy two matches this weekend, we are going to know who is Joe Garcia, and we're going to know if he's victorious or if he falls short to the sexiest man alive, Eddie Valentine. But moving on to this stacked Breaking Chains card, we got Eddie Torres with the Good Doctor in his corner, taking on J.A.I. Jay Vidal, TNA superstar. And Jay Vidal, he is so fun to watch in that ring. His series that he had with Alex Chamberlain was so good, but we have to mention he was on the losing end of that series. He did lose that rubber match at Bash 44. Now it's like, where's Jay Vidal fall into all these things? He's got to go up against Eddie Torres, who Eddie Torres is, anytime you step in the ring with him in the last territory, he's one of those names where it's like, you better bring your A game or Eddie Torres can knock your lights out. What do you think about all this, Axel? How do you think Jay comes into this one?
I think Jay's going to come out here to prove a point that though he may have lost that series to Alex Chamberlain, he's now going to get to step into someone that maybe he's not too familiar with, but I know Jay Vidal is going to be coming back strong to make a statement like he has in the past. He said he was here to CCW to return and make his way back up the leaderboard, whether that be for the Southeastern Championship. But a great stepping stone is at events like these ones at Port St. Lucie, where you have an opportunity taking on someone like Eddie Torres, who I will say maybe feels a little disrespected in the locker room. But both men here have something to gain in regards to where their position will be, or what direction they will go, rather, I should say, at the end of Port St. Lucie, with both men also going to be involved at the next Bash at the Brew show So this could be anyone's game. I know I've been seeing some comments, some people going for Eddie Torres, others for Jay Vidal. Personally, I'm going to have to go for my man Jay Vidal and say he's going to pull up the upset on Eddie Torres, but he's going to have to be very wary of Dr. Eric Christopher in Eddie Torres' corner in order for that to happen. That's where I'm going to be. That's where I follow that line.
Can I interject and ask you a question here?
Go for it.
Do you think it's more that Eddie Torres is not as respected in the locker room, or do you think it's he's coming up short, or not hitting the mark the way that he wants to, and that's kind of coming into the forefront here?
That's what I like to assume every time I try to get a little word with Dr. Eric Christopher and, of course, Eddie. They always play this very vague game of what this plan is, and I think with me interjecting and asking all these questions, it does maybe upset Eddie, and that's where that is stemming from. He feels that the disrespect from the management and the locker room just not giving him any really recognition here in CCW, even sometimes treating him maybe as an outsider. And I think that he really likes to remind people that CCW is also his turf. Let's not forget, Port St. Lucie is Dr. Eric Christopher's hometown. So there's a lot of home field advantage there for that team right there. But I wish I could give you a much better solid answer. As you know, Lizzie, a lot of the times when I approach these gentlemen, I'm shoot away rather quickly and just get the bare minimum.
Come on, Axel.
I get the bare minimum for you guys.
You get the answers, though. You're the man with all the answers.
Yeah, I'm going to try to get the answer for you guys. But maybe I'll press a little harder this weekend. With either superstar, it's really, I should say, it's really hard to say who will come out on top because the strength on Eddie Torres. And I know we haven't seen him in a while at CCW, but checking it on his social media, you see that he continues to hit the gym, continuing to improve in his conditioning and his stamina. So it's not going to be an easy walk for Jay Vidal, to say the least, but it's going to be a very interesting matchup to see where these two gentlemen will end at the end of this weekend. Like Tyler said for Joe Garcia, it's also for there's a ball in each of these gentlemen's court, and it's going to be up to them who's going to take that really good opportunity and make a statement at Breaking Chains.
Absolutely. Great insight there, Axel, especially with, both of these guys, how big this match means, especially when we go into the Bash of the Brew card, because they are both on some really important matches on Bash of the Brew, both with title implications, which we will get into later into the show. But this match here, that will give that swing of momentum. Everything in this sport is momentum. If you have the momentum behind you, that can take you to the top, and we will see who walks into Bash of the Brew with the momentum into the respective title match. But moving on to this Breaking Chains card, we got a really good, another rivalry match, Fabu Andre versus Hardcore Horvath. Obviously, we know now the Heavenly Butterflies completely dead. Tony Donati stabbed the back of Fabu Andre. Those two went to war, but thanks to Hardcore Horvath, he went in, played the distraction, got the victory for Tony. Fabu wants revenge against both of them, but it's going to start against Hardcore Horvath at Breaking Chains. Lissy, do you think Fabu gets that revenge against Hardcore, or do you think Hardcore's size here just absolutely, it just dismantles Fabu's game plan?
I'm going to say this again. It's another one of those cases of like good friends, better enemies. It's like these two, Fabu and Tony, it's like cosmic. They can't shake each other. They're always going to be intertwined with each other in one way, shape, or form. It's just so interesting to see that, like, they're still just being pulled together. Like, even the fact that, he's this weekend, he's wrestling Hardcore Horvath. Tony's going to be there. Tony's going to be ringside. And the numbers game is never going to be in Fabu's favor. So I'm hopeful that Fabu can hopefully make some friends and maybe find somebody to be in his corner eventually. But I'm going with HH this Friday. So let's see.
Going with the big man. Hey, the guy looks like a monster in that ring. He can move like a monster. He is really agile. He's really been proving, him and Tony have been proving their tag team grit. They've been proving that they really don't need Fabu. But Fabu, I think he's a motivated man. I think that makes him even more dangerous. and Hardcore Horvath better have his head on a swivel when he's stepping in the ring with Fabu Andre. Let's go into another singles match here. Another bit of a rivalry match. I really like this Breaking Chains card.
Yeah.
We're seeing a lot of tempers that are going to flare because Pretty Rich Wise, back at our last PSL show, Summer Glory, Pretty Rich Wise got his first singles victory over Chris Farrow. Of course, there's shenanigans involved. We saw Pretty Rich Wise hit that mule kick right to the family jewels of Chris Farrow, setting up that victory for him. Chris Farrow's wanted revenge against Pretty Rich Wise, and he's going to get it here. He gets to right that wrong that happened at the last PSL show. Axel, do you think he gets it, or do you think that Pretty Rich Wise, we know these PSL crowds, they like to get behind Pretty Rich Wise sometimes. Does Pretty Rich Wise sneak another one out?
I think so. I think there's just some weird but special yet maybe even sexual energy for Pretty Rich Wise there in PSL that it gives him the energy that he needs in his matches, and that just came about last PSL. And I think that with the crowd behind him, especially his group there, I think Pretty Rich Wise is going to give us the shock of the night, and once again pull the upset on Chris Farrow. As much as I would give Chris Farrow the credit that he's a great competitor, I just think that there's just some weird voodoo in the air in PSL that just gives Pretty Rich Wise that extra oomph and gives him an extra kick. Or what's the saying? My God, I'm really bad with this. Gives a pep to his step in order to get the win this Saturday or this Friday. Excuse me. There you go.
Yeah, I think you're starting to put some respect on Rich Wise's name. I think that's what you're trying to do.
There you go. In the best way possible. There we go. Thank you, Lizzie. You understand me.
I got you,
my friend. Thank
you.
You.
I see you.
Yeah, Pretty Rich Wise, PSL. It's a weird combination, like you said, but he's got a lot of fans there, whether it be sexual energy, like you said, or voodoo, or whatever it is, or they just like cheering Pretty Rich Wise, which I never thought I would ever say that. It does make things interesting for Chris Farrow, but again, Chris Farrow is heading into this match with something to prove against Pretty Rich Wise, and we know Farrow steps up big time when it comes to big matches. But let's not forget, we just talked about September Remember ladder match. Chris Farrow flew off that top of the ladder with S2S, both crashing through that table. I can guarantee Chris Farrow is not 100%, and you know who knows that more than all three of us? That is Pretty Rich Wise, who I'm sure was studying Farrow and is going to pick apart Farrow and try to do anything he can to get the win in PSL. But we got to move on to the next match. Let's break things up here with a tag team match. Wow. And what a tag team match this is. I got to say, if you follow the last two, oh no, did I lose us? Am I back?
There we go. You're back. You're back, brother.
Like I was saying, I would say the four most popular competitors here in the last territory in Monster Mosh, taking on Cha-Cha Charlie and Domino. This crowd is going to be insane. This is just going to be an insane environment, insane match. Domino and Cha-Cha Charlie, they have very little tag team experience together, while Monster Mosh has, they are a solid tag team, have multiple matches together. Let's see, who are you thinking here? I know it's going to be hard to pick. These are all three of us. We love all four of these guys.
It's so hard because obviously, like, I'm such a fan of tag team wrestling, and I think that Ozzy and Skits do such a good job at being singles wrestlers, but also coming together as a tag team to create Monster Mosh. So it's very interesting. And then I think that we look at looking at the other side of things, we have Cha-Cha Charlie, seasoned vet, not just in CCW, but just seasoned vet overall, former CCW world champion, heavyweight champion, excuse me. And we have Domino, our current CCW Southeastern champion, but they're both singles wrestlers. And I think that it takes it's hard to just, you know, be like, hey, on Friday we're gonna tag team. We know each other outside the ring, but we're gonna be working together. There's a certain level of chemistry that's required. There's a certain level of coordination that's required, and that comes from those reps of tag teaming together and traveling together and things like that. That Skits and Ozzy Killmeister probably have. So I'm gonna definitely just say the advantages with Monster Mosh.
Yeah, and I think it'd be interesting to see which team does the crowd, lean into more. My money might be on Monster Mosh.
I'm gonna tell you, they love Skits in PSL, and they love Ozzy there too. So, no disrespect to Cha Cha or to Domino, but I think that PSL is that's their town.
Yeah, and we've seen Cha-Cha Charlie before a couple times, mostly in rivalries, and though where he feels the pressure, he feels his back against the wall, and we see something come out of Cha-Cha Charlie. We haven't seen that yet with Domino, but now with Cha-Cha Charlie there, maybe Domino takes Cha-Cha's lead. Maybe we see a more aggressive Cha-Cha, more aggressive Domino, depending on that fan reaction. This is a match to keep your eyes on, folks. Anything can happen in this tag team match. Is a dream match here if you keep up with the last territory. Can't wait for it. Let's get to our next singles match. We have stacked singles matches on this card. It's actually crazy because look at Stallion Rogers taking on Vinny Pacifico. Vinny Pacifico is a caffeine fiend, and he's going to need all the caffeine he can get in his veins to take on Stallion Rogers. Because Stallion Rogers is one pissed off Stallion Rogers coming into this one. He's lost the tag team championships. His tag team partner and Danny Briggs is injured. He is back on the solos run, and he's going to want to take it all out on Vinny Pacifico. Axel, what do you think? Do you think Vinny Pacifico can match up to Stallion Rogers, hard-hitting ability? Do you think Stallion walks away with this one? Do you think, Vinny Pacifico gets the win?
I think there's very few people that can actually match up with Stallion Rogers and give him a match of the night. It's going to be Vinny Pacifico. We've seen what he's capable here in the past with CCW. I believe he was part of our last anniversary 20th show when we were back in PSL. Mm-hmm. So I think that these two men are also no stranger to each other. They may be acquaintances in and outside of the ring. I don't think that's going to be the very first. I'm sure that their paths have crossed outside of CCW, but this is going to be the very first time that we get to see them here in a CCW ring. But if I will go out on a limb, and hopefully Stallion Rogers is not tuning in right now and say that Vinny Pacifico is going to get that caffeine energy to take the win from Stallion Rogers, just because as of late, maybe Stallion is wanting to better get himself acquainted in the singles competition again. And the injuries that he may be still recovering from that TLC ladder match, which, by the way, you guys can still check out on YouTube right now, actually on our YouTube page at Coastal Championship Wrestling. If you have not seen it, I feel like he is still feeling some of those repercussions, because I was tuning in right before this, watching a little bit of that matchup, and holy crap, those men really did beat up each other. And though it's been a month, I know that he has still been wrestling here in CCW or taking other shows like at BRCW in the past. So I'm just going to go and give it to Vinny Pacifico, who's been on fire as of late. If you've not been keeping up with Vinny Pacifico also on his social medias, do that. But that's the only reason why I'm going to be saying that. And hopefully Stallion Rogers does not kill me when he hears this.
I'm going to make sure. Yes. I'm going to make sure he hears it. But Axel, you have to remember, right? Like, I think that Stallion is one of those wrestlers that, like, he's built for this. Like, you see him, he comes up to the ring. He's so unbothered. He's not worried about anything, right? You don't know what type of matches recently Vinny Pacifico's been having. So I don't know. This is gonna be a tough one. It's good. I can't wait to see the chops versus the caffeine. That's what I'm here for.
It's gonna be one hell of a battle. And yeah, Axel, I gotta agree with you in the sense that, hey, Vinny Pacifico is no pushover at all. I mean, he's been wrestling for, I want to say, around 10 years, almost around 10 years. He is been in Ring of Honor. He's been featured on AEW. The guy has been around, and I mean, he is just that journeyman that will go anywhere, get as much experience as he can. Stallion Rogers is going to have a beat on the experience field, but still, Vinny Pacifico, if Stallion Rogers isn't careful, can get that win, can get that caffeine-fueled energy going. But knowing Stallion Rogers, he's going to want to chop out all the caffeine out of Vinny Pacifico. Can't wait for that. Breaking chains, just the card of big-time singles matches, because check this one out. Jackal Stevens taking on ERA. Both men coming off their matches from Breakout. ERA and Ricky Martinez not successful in defeating the tag team champions in South American Alliance. And Jackal Stevens pulled double duty at Breakout September to Remember, where he actually got the tag team win over Eddie Valentine and his Knight Rider with Joe Garcia, and then volunteered himself into that September to Remember ladder match. He was the mystery man, the fifth man. And man, what a match that was. He got busted open in the back of his head, hitting a ladder. I mean, he was pushing his body. Then after that, not only does he pull double duty, then he gets into a brawl with Meadow on the outside and ends up getting body slammed on the concrete floor. Just splat nasty. So ERA, I mean, wrestled a tag team championship match. But after what Jackal put himself through, you got to think ERA is the healthier man here. ERA might have the advantage going into this one. Lissy, do you agree with that? Do you have your money on ERA?
Well, I mean, we can have a similar argument for ERA that we had for Stallion Rogers a minute ago, right? Went through a brutal ladder match about a month ago in that fatal four-way. I'm sure he's probably still feeling the effects of that too. He's been wrestling every weekend with us since. Him and Ricky are nonstop as well. And then when we look at Jackal Stevens, Tyler, you had a great point. Pulling almost triple duty basically this past Saturday, right? I think that Axel, you had, the inside scoop with him at after Conquer Kissing Me last month, when he was just like, I don't care what I have to do. I don't care who I have to go through. If I got to start on the bottom, I'm going to go through everybody again. And I think he's just at that point where he's like, all right, cool. If I got to wrestle twice a night, I'll do it. If I got to wrestle 3 times a night, I'll do it. I need to prove that I'm going to get back up there. So that's really what you're seeing from him. And it's not just during the show. It's before the show. It's after the show. You see him and he's just a different man right now. So I'm going to say that Jackal needs this win. So Jackal's going to come out on top.
It seems like that Jackal is just, like you said, perfect points. That determined man is going to walk through everybody. ERA, though, he's right there with Jackal. I mean, ERA is a solid foundation of the last territory right there with Jackal. ERA being former tag team champion. It just seems like this is Jackal's match to lose in my eyes after what he put himself through. But we will see if he can push himself through all that pain, push himself to just get through ERA. It's just going to be one hell of a match. I can guarantee that. Both those guys are going to put it all out on the line like they always do every night. But you always got to watch out ERA. You got to watch out if Ricky Martinez is going to be somewhere in the back to interfere with this one. And ERA loves bending those rules. Good luck to whoever is the referee in that one. And speaking of good luck to referees, here is the last match we're going to cover. This is what on paper looks like it would be your main event, because it is a big-time rematch right back in PSL when they first squared off for those tag team championships, except this time the Crown are the challengers and the South American Alliance are the champions. When these two first went at it at Anniversary 20, it was an absolute war. I mean, these two just went at it. You got the Crown, you got South American Alliance. It's like a match written in the stars, isn't it? It's just such a great matchup. They just hate each other. They put it all on the line. I think it goes beyond hate. I think it goes into respect as well. I think they respect each other, especially after that first match. I think they came in with a lot of anger and hate towards each other, because you had the Crown who wanted to defend their spot, saying, hey, we're on top of the tag team division now. Then you had South American Alliance like, hold on, not so fast. We're still South American Alliance. Now that they've been in the ring with each other multiple times, this is their official rematch and just a straight up tag team match. I think now they know each other more, and we're going to see an even crazier match. We'll do a round table for this last one. Lacey, who do you got? Do you got South American Alliance retaining, or you got new champions again in the crown?
Well, Tyler, it's like you said, they're kind of like those star-crossed lovers, right? Where they are so intertwined in the fabric of each other's stories at this point. They've helped to build each other up from a notoriety standpoint. I mean, I think that they've just had so many great matches over the last few years. And these are these two premier tag teams. When you think about the tag team division, for like the last 4 or 5 years, it's pretty much been the Crown or the South American Alliance really holding those titles for the bulk of that time. I am not well. I'm struggling with this decision. I was almost going to use I hope everybody has fun, but I know that we have a whole other night of matches to cover.
Smart.
So I'm going to hold on to that. I'm going to say,
Lacey, before you do, one point I did not mention.
Oh.
From September to Remember, South American Alliance was in that tag team championship match against 5 Star Era. Vinicius got his knee taken out by 5 Star Era. I mean, he was out of that match for a while. He had to rush back in, made the save right in time. We do not know what the status of Vinicius's knee is. I mean, he could be going into this one severely injured as well. Just something to keep in mind going into this one.
Well, that's definitely something good to keep in mind, but we always remember that South American Alliance has an ace in their back pocket, and he's called Alan S2S Martinez. So if the big man is, injured, I'm sure that Alan will step right in, and he and Ariel Levy are a tag team in their own right. So they have such an advantage, really. In these types of situations, when it's so difficult to make a decision, I always give champions advantage because the Crown has to beat the South American Alliance. They don't have SAA doesn't have to beat the Crown in this instance. So champions advantage with no bias.
No bias at all. Axel, who do you think is going to be walking away tag team champions from Breaking Chains?
For the sake of just stirring the pot a little bit, I'm going to say that this is going to be the opportunity that Crown has been waiting for, an opportunity at whomever it may be, whether it be the combination of the Golden Chileans or the South American Alliance. We know that both Leonis and Maximus Khan have been waiting for an opportunity at the CCW Tag Team Championship Gold, and I don't think that they're the type of tag team that would let an opportunity like this just go and slip by or be wasted. I think that they're going to be bringing more than their A game. They might be bringing their A++ game. It's going to be very. I was on the same path as Lizzie. I'm not going to lie. I was hoping that everyone's going to have fun and that the real winners were going to be the fans and us for enjoying what is going to be a great tag team match. But in all honesty, I'm going to just go and say that the Crown has been wanting this kind of stipulation with the tag team champions, whomever it was going to be, whether it was going to be the 5 Star Era. After Breakout, we found out it was still the South American Alliance. So they've been just stalking their prey, if I could just paint that picture of these lions that are the Crowns, just waiting for the right opportunity. And what a great opportunity. You have Alan S2S Martinez, who are pretty banged up from that Breakout September to Remember match. Vinicius, as we just pointed out, also a little banged up. Ariel Levy must be also not at his best. So if you want an opportunity to strike at your prey, Port St. Lucie, Breaking Chains is the opportunity for the Crown. And that's why I'm saying and new tag team champions will be crowned this Saturday.
I mean, great points on both sides. Lacey picking SAA, Axel picking the Crown. But
is this no breaker?
But I have to say that both teams have agreed to an immediate rematch no matter what the outcome is. For Bash at the Brew, it'll be a no disqualification match.
What?
No matter who the tag team champions walk away.
With the mic drop. Look at how you just saved yourself. Wow.
St. Lucie. So, will it be the Crown walking into Bash at the Brew as tag team champions, or will it be South American Alliance? This time, it will be no disqualification, just another night. I mean, so the teams our South American Alliance is walking in more banged up than the Crown. That is no doubt. But by the time Bash at the Brew rolls around the next day, they're only going to have 24 hours to recruit both teams.
They might each be crawling in there at that
right.
point.
I mean, these two teams are maniacs, already automatically agreeing, hey, no matter who walks out Friday, we want to run it back Saturday.
I think the freshest man on Saturday is going to be Fonzie.
Yes, that's for sure. Well, we don't know. Last time we saw Fonzie in PSL, left with a broken neck. So we don't know. Anything can happen to Last Territory. Fans, we're going to be breaking down Bash of the Brew after this quick commercial break.
So you want to become a pro wrestler? Get off the couch and step in the ring. The CCW training facility is accepting new students now. Join the longest running professional wrestling school in the southeastern United States. Absorb over 3 decades of knowledge and learn from head trainer professional wrestling legend Gangrel, David Heath. Push yourself to limits you never knew you had. Are you a future champion? Think you got what it takes? Call now 954-953-7125 or apply online today.
That's right. We've always talked about it here on CCW Insider, how myself, Tyler, and Lizzie just took the opportunity one day, reached out to CCW Insider, and look at us here now. So if you have that same passion, you have that same dream, you want that same opportunity, well, then now is your chance, because we are now taking new students here at the CCW training facility. Tyler, talk to a little bit more about some of the programs that are going to be available for people who sign up, from being a wrestler, manager, etc. Go on, my man.
Well, it's Monday through Thursday. We are always running classes. Monday through Wednesday, really focused on the wrestling aspect. Thursday is our business class. And like you said, we have opened it back up where we have the same program that all three of us joined. It is back up where you can.
They called me.
Oh, Lacey did not join. I apologize for that. See, that's the difference between all three of us. That's why Lacey's up here and me and Axel are right here.
Or maybe down here.
Yeah, down here off camera. We called CCW about this program when we joined it, and it is back open. This program for referees, for production, for commentators, for ring announcers, interviewers, any backstage type of role. CCW is the best place to come and learn. The training facility always open. And it's just a great place to learn. You come out a better person. You join the CCW family, ccwrestlingfl.com to get more information on that. But with that being said, we got to break down our last show of the weekend. And what a show it is. It is Bash at the Brew 45. A new era has started here at the Last Territory. And we will be at the Tank Brewing. And we are going to be kicking things off crazy. Let's go right into Cha-Cha Charlie versus Vinny Pacifico for the Tennessee heavyweight title. Can Vinny Pacifico go 2 for 2 back to back? I mean, what an opportunity here for Vinny Pacifico. Axel, do you think Vinny gets it done?
Do I think Vinny gets it done? That's a very hard question here, Tyler. And just by looking, I got a quick glimpse of the rest of the card while you were talking about that. And it's very hard for me to want to choose that everyone's going to be a winner match. But if I have to say so I will give an answer, because this card is very hard to just want to give out and skip out on that freebie of our answer. But with that being said, Cha-Cha Charlie has been very impressive as of late. I've been saying that week after week since becoming the CCW Tennessee heavyweight champion. Not that he's gonna have a night off at PSL, but at least he doesn't have to worry about putting his title on the line that Friday. But in this match, like we've mentioned, Vinny Pacifico is a man who's very well renowned inside the ring, traveling all over the U.S., outside of the U.S. as well. But so is Cha-Cha Charlie. This one is gonna be, I think, one of the matches of the night. But it's very hard to argue against the franchise of CCW, guys. I mean, I pointed out in the past that he went from representing the CCW South Florida branch to now being the face of the CCW Nashville branch. And pretty sure Cha-Cha doesn't want the momentum to stop anytime soon. So he's going to be, I think, taking this match very serious against Vinny Pacifico. But like Tony just said, you can't count Vinny out. It's going to be an interesting match. But my gut just says trust Cha-Cha on this one.
If you are a fan of the last territory, just what a weekend, have to mention it. Just an amazing weekend. These singles matches are they're almost half of them can main event a show, but not in the last territory, not no more. These are just stacked upon stacked. Vinny Pacifico, I'm going to throw it out there. Vinny Pacifico goes back-to-back Friday, beating Stallion Rogers, then beating Cha-Cha Charlie for the Tennessee Championship. I say next Bash at the Brew, give that man a CCW Heavyweight Championship title shot.
Oh, God.
Because those are two huge names to go back-to-back. CCW management looked at Vinny Pacifico and said, you're coming back to the last territory. We are going to give you the opportunities to swing for the fences, drink that caffeine. He's going to need it. That being said, Cha-Cha Charlie and still the Tennessee champion, the franchise retains. I think that Cha-Cha has just been on such a great roll with that Tennessee championship. He's really leaning in to that, being that face of the Tennessee brand. And I don't think it's going to stop anytime soon, but I'm sure Vinny Pacifico, he's going to have some tricks up his sleeve to try to get the win there at Bash at the Brew. Then let's go to our next big singles match. We got Jackal Stevens taking on Tony Donanti. And speaking of going back-to-back, Lissy, can Jackal go back-to-back from PSL to Bash of the Brew? You said he's a man on a mission. Can he get it done this weekend?
So first, I want to pause for a second because I think that we need to talk about the venue really quick. I'm very excited for our new venue. I feel like there's been a little bit of time between the last bash and this bash. I mean, first and foremost, the name The Tank. I feel like that's like such a cool name. It sounds like a place where like legendary shit is going to happen. It's air conditioned. As it's so funny because I remember Fonzie cut a promo and he was like, come see us, new venue, air conditioned. Like, that's such a big deal. If you went to any of our previous shows in Hialeah at Unbranded, which was such an amazing venue, I think that we're really just going to be stepping things all the way up now at the Tank. We have a lot of room. We have even more room for capacity, as well as a better, atmosphere in terms of air conditioning. So number one, first and foremost, very excited about the new venue. And then back to this match. Tony Donati's been on a roll, right? Like, it just feels like things have just gone so seamlessly from being a tag team with Fabu to just, now really establishing himself as a singles wrestler, and then he either always has Hardcore Horvath in his corner, or he's supporting him and he has his back. So I feel like they're in such like a mutually beneficial relationship in that way. But with that said, like I said, Jackal is blazing a trail. He is a man on fire. He doesn't care who he has to go through. He's going to kick every single door down. So I'm still keeping my respect on Jackal Stevens' name, and we are putting him as going over this weekend as well. The entire weekend is Jackal's.
Jackal going back to back. And one thing to keep in mind about this match, a little bit of personal history here between these two. Jackal was really good friends with the Heavenly Butterflies. If you saw that video on social media, Jackal trying to console Fabu Andre once he got betrayed. So there might be a little bit of flame here under Jackal to get this win under against Tony Donati and get a little bit of vengeance for Fabu Andre. That is going to be a big singles match. Like you said, Lisi, Tony Donati has just snapped into this singles division like no issue whatsoever. Mm-hmm. And just can't wait to see him and Jackal go at it. And we got to talk about this next one. This brings a smile to my face. We got the Boom coming to Bash at the Brew, where you can meet the Costco guys at the Tank Brewery. And listen, the Costco guys just announced it Monday at Barstool. They are all elite. But first, they're making a stop here at the last territory, and they will be at Bash at the Brew. Any thoughts about the Costco guys bringing the Boom to the last territory?
I feel like it's just it's such a rite of passage to come through CCW before you become all elite. Like it just, I feel like we're, you know what I'm saying? We're right before there. We have so many people that, work in AEW that, work with us or were working with us and are now in AEW or affiliated with AEW, things like that. So I feel like this is just a rite of passage. I'm very excited to have them coming and see them and bring in the boom this Saturday. And hopefully we might get to do the dance with them. Axel, have you been practicing?
I've not been practicing, but I have been talking to, I believe it was Horvath and Tony at sometimes, and even the Crown, as to figure out how to do how to properly do the Riz, right? I think it's something yes, you're right.
I was talking about this dance, the one with the, come on, like.
I'm not, much dancing is, I prefer, and save my dignity and save myself the embarrassment of trying to be hip with the young crowd. I know, guys, it may seem that I'm a young hipper young fella, but honestly, guys, I'm not in touch with what the kids are into these days. I'm not really sure entirely what the boom is. That's what I'm more interesting about. What is this boom that we're going to be talking about? How big is the boom?
They're going to bring it on Saturday.
That's why I have to see it to believe it. I'm walking around. And then I see a lot of people on TikTok that just playing these videos. So I know that they are big people here in our community, especially down in Miami. So I'm going to be very excited to see what the boom is actually going to be. And like Lizzie said, it's a rite of passage. Before you make it to AEW, you have to step through CCW, but not anywhere in CCW. You have to pass through Bash at the Brew. What a place to make a debut, guys.
Boomer Axel, Grandpa Axel.
Probably Boomer Axel.
No, I'm just playing around. I can't wait to see what shenanigans the Costco guys get up to. It's going to be fun stuff. But this will not be fun because after their match at PSL, also, I love these. This weekend is so big. It's like we got guys like, you know what? At PSL, we're going to go to war. And then tomorrow at Bash at Brew, I'm going to kick your ass again. It is Eddie Valentine taking on Joe Garcia, but this time in a kendo stick match. The Night Riders. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of ice bags. There's going to be a lot of medics at the end of this Bash at the Brew after this big weekend. And Eddie Valentine, Joe Garcia, we will see where they're at, if they're going to be at 1-1 or they're going to be 2-0 in Eddie Valentine. But this one, kendo stick match, anything can happen. Eddie Valentine, if you know anything about him, he's got that CZW experience. Eddie Valentine's been around for a long time. He knows how to get extreme. He knows how to get hardcore. And I think you got to tip your hat to Eddie Valentine in this kendo stick match. I don't know if you agree with that, Axel.
Well, what I will say is that it's been very interesting how these two men have always been able to find each other in these type of matches. I think what we're being treated to this weekend is that best of series matches between both Joe Garcia and Eddie Valentine, which can be very crucial. What I was going to point out, what Lizzie was talking about for when we were breaking down Breaking Chains, what I think is going to be crucial, however, is that Joe really is going to need the win on Friday in order for this matchup to be a nice playing field, correct? So I think that there's going to be a lot of riding on this weekend. For Joe personally, I know there has to be some pressure on his shoulders that he must be feeling, but it's going to be how he copes through this pressure going up against his mentor, Eddie Valentine. As Lizzie mentioned, Eddie Valentine may have taught him a lot, but he did not teach him everything. And now it's time for Joe to really go back in the repertoire that Eddie Valentine may have presented him at the time and really study, pay attention, go back, look at some old videos of them as a tag team, really study and analyze, because this is going to be a very important weekend for Joe. I believe I'll even go as far as saying that this weekend is really going to be a determining factor for Joe Garcia in where he ends up here in our very diverse CCW roster that we're ever growing, you guys. I mean, there's so many more people that are joining CCW, both that are homegrown talent that are finally evolving from student to wrestler on our shows, but also that outside talent that we continue to bring in, which makes CCW just this great land of opportunity in Florida. And for Joe, it's a very important weekend. That's why I'm going to give it to Joe Garcia this weekend. My gut really says trust Joe, because I feel that after the last bash at the Brew, he really learned from his mistakes. I would like to hope that he learned from some of the mistakes from his previous match with Eddie, and we're going to see a new side of Joe Garcia. Because, Tyler, you did point out something interesting that I might even just ask him. After this weekend, who is Joe Garcia? Who is he going to be after this weekend? A kendo stick match? That's going to be rough. You know, that's going to be rough. Yeah.
Joe has to win mentally. As you were saying, Axel, you made a great point. Who is he and where's he going to be after this weekend, right? It's like he was, so to speak, under that protection, under that umbrella of protection, that hedge of protection with Eddie Valentine. And now he's out in the wild by himself, right? So these are really those formative shows, those formative years of his life, so to speak, where he's going to be figuring out who he's going to be. And I think that he has to get a win this weekend, or like you said, who is he going to be?
It's a big time match. It's a big time rivalry. That's what we come to expect at Bash at the Brew. And Joe Garcia, I think also we have to keep this in mind. We saw Eddie trying to get new Knight Riders. He has a crop of talent he's been recruiting. We got to watch out. Some Knight Riders might jump in this ring.
Yeah, but you know what, though? I'm going to say this. When Eddie started with Joe, things were rocky. It's going to take a long time for him to I'm not going to say replace Joe, because I don't think that you're going to be able to fully replace someone like that. But I think that if you grew up in the 90s like me and you were watching wrestling and tag team wrestling, when Shawn Michaels and Marty Jannetty broke up, they were the Rockers. And then it took Marty Jannetty some time and he found the new rocker, but it just didn't hit the same. It's so hard. It's so hard when you have something so good to be able to do it twice. But if anybody can do it, it is Eddie.
You know where Lisi sits on this rivalry, because she just compared Joe Garcia to the Shawn Michaels of this rivalry. So we will see where Joe Garcia's career goes from here. Going on to our next match, we have breaking news. I don't believe this match was announced yet, but we got our hands on it here on Insider. Big time match. If Bash at the Brew could not have gotten any bigger, it is the Cruisermeister, Ozzy Killmeister, putting up that CCW Cruiserweight Championship against Jay Vidal. I teased it a little bit that Jay had a big match after breaking chains, after his already big match against Eddie Torres. Now he has to go up against Ozzy Killmeister, and he can become two-time CCW Cruiserweight Champion. An accomplishment only done right now by Chris Farrow. Lisi, Jay Vidal, I'm asking you the same question. Does he go back-to-back? Does he walk out beating Eddie Torres and then beating Ozzy Killmeister, becoming the new Cruiserweight Champion?
Can we talk about how I keep getting all the really hard matches? Did you guys get together before and you were like, all right, these are the matches that we want and we're going to give Lisi these ones? This is very difficult. Axel, you're so cute. This is very difficult because you have someone like Jay Vidal, who is, TNA superstar. He's wrestled all over. He is, he has a really blended style of wrestling that I absolutely love. And he plays that psychology game really well. So he really is such a well-rounded wrestler first and foremost. And then you have somebody like Ozzy, who I think we've chronicled Ozzy a lot on this show. Ozzy was not your typical candidate for a cruiserweight at just a cruiserweight in general. And then never mind for the cruiserweight champion. And I think that he has, to everyone's, for myself, especially, pleasantly surprised all of us. He's been a fighting champion. He has not missed a show, which is, a great accomplishment just in general, just being able to show up every weekend. But also he's really stepping up his game, and he's maintaining the very metal 198. which I think that, if you know where he started, you know that it's not easy to maintain. So enough about that. On Saturday, I have to just lean back on my usual and just say it's champion's advantage. And Jay has to be Aussie. I think that it's going to be Aussie, but I think it's going to be very close. So I'm sorry. That was like really hard for me to just even I'm struggling. I almost used I hope they have fun. Like you saw me going around it, but yes. Okay. Champion's advantage, Aussie, come out on top so I can be right for once, please.
But can I just say that this is just such a cool dream match? I know that from talking to Aussie in the past, he's been waiting for this specific matchup to be made official, where he finally has an opportunity to prove to everyone why he is the Cruisermeister. He's battled many of the best previous cruiserweight champions in the past of CCW, but the only one that he's not been able to conquer has been Jay Vidal. So this, like Lizzie said, would have been my free ticket out of here, because I do wish both men to have a great night that night, but I think it's very hard to argue, like Lizzie said, that champion's advantage with Aussie Killmeister. Yeah, Jay has to beat Aussie at the end of the day.
And I think that that's a really good point, right? It's not just about champion's advantage, because I think that to praise Aussie for a second, he doesn't go into matches thinking, oh, I don't got to beat this guy has to beat me, right? So I think that, as you said, like working with somebody like Jay this weekend, it's kind of like a bucket list type of match for him. So I feel like that will be such a good notch in his belt that he's going to pull out the extra stops for. Thank you for adding that, Axel.
Great insights from both sides. And just got to say, like Axel said, absolute dream match. This match is just going to be an all-out banger of a match. Can't wait for it. Aussie Killmeister. He's saying what he was going to do. He said he was going to get this Cruiserweight Championship. He said he wasn't going to let go of it. And he said he was going to add his name to that list of prestigious Cruiserweight champions. He's doing just that. We heard him on social media. I believe yesterday he posted, he was like, it was an open challenge. Any Cruiserweights come through. I'm going to go through you. I'm going to be the best Cruiserweight in the country, not only in the state of Florida, but in the country. Yeah. He wants all up-and-coming challengers. And Jay Vidal is a guy he's going to have to beat. He wants to go through the former Cruiserweight champions, and Jay wants that championship back in the worst way. Going to be absolute crazy match. But we got to go to some women's action. This was also recently announced today, and that is that Nikki Blackheart will be in singles competition at Bash at the Brew against AEW's Harley Cameron. And Harley Cameron, welcome back to the last territory. We saw her back in one of the CONCACAF semis. But she's stepping in there with a machine in Nikki Blackheart. She's stepping in there with the enforcer, Nikki Blackheart, that these past couple of weeks has just been interfering in women's matches and destroying the women. I mean, just two women at a time.
On notice. She's putting them all on notice, period.
Yeah, and if you're Harley Cameron, you're excited to come back to the last territory. You're going into Bash at the Brew, but then you look at Nikki Blackheart, what she's been doing, and it's like, you better pack a lunch because you're going to need anything you got to get the win against Nikki Blackheart. But Harley Cameron, like we said, she's on AEW weekly television. She puts in that work. She's been grinding to get to this position, and now here it is, big time singles match. Axel, what do you think is going to happen here? Do you think the enforcer just overpowers Harley, or does Harley Cameron use that experience she's gained to get the win?
Well, that's exactly what I was thinking here. Like Lizzie mentioned, I think Nikki Blackheart has definitely been putting everyone on notice here in the women's locker room, not only for herself, but also as the enforcer for the CCW Women's Champion, nonetheless, Ruthie J. But Harley Cameron definitely is going to have to rely on her experience, on the skills that she has over Nikki Blackheart, who's still fairly new in the game here. But when you have to think about the strength advantage, you have to give it to Nikki Blackheart. But maybe even the speed advantage, Harley Cameron right there. But it's definitely going to be a very tough match to try and defeat the enforcer. I mean, I've seen just the sheer strength that Nikki Blackheart has, sometimes picking up women over her shoulders, gorilla pressing them onto the mat. Very hard to get a word out of her. I'm not going to lie to you guys. Very hard. She's a woman of very short words. But I think that she lets a lot of her skill set in the ring do a lot of her talking. And that's what we're going to see at Bash at the Brew. So I think it's going to be a great return for Harley Cameron here at CCW, especially at Bash at the Brew. We make our return to now Miami and our new home. But it's going to be a night that Nikki Blackheart is going to be coming out on top.
An interesting scenario to propose to you guys, because I think it would only be fair. Ruthie J is not on this card. Are we going to see Ruthie J in the corner of the Enforcer? The Enforcer's been in almost every single Ruthie J's title defenses. This is a huge match for Nikki Blackheart. Arguably, not arguably, it is the biggest match in her career. Bash at the Brew at the Tank, going up against AEW's Harley Cameron. Is Ruthie J going to be in the corner of the Enforcer? You would think she should be, not to stir the pot, but she definitely should be. But will she?
Look at you. Sorry.
So let's take a step further, little Tyler. We also know that on AEW, Harley Cameron has been aligning herself recently with Saraya. So who's to say that at Bash at the Brew, if we're getting the Costco guys at Bash at the Brew in Miami, guys, I'm getting guys here. Who's to say that maybe we don't see a nice little surprise appearance by Saraya, if Ruthie J might even be there for Nikki Blackheart. Of course, we're all just talking hypotheticals here, CCW Insider, but the only time or the only way that you're ever going to find out is by getting your butts out there to the Tank Brewing Company this Saturday and join us. Tyler, what's the next card that we have on the table?
The next match is a big championship match. He won this championship at Bash at the Brew 44 at the last Bash at Unbranded. It is Domino taking on Eddie Torres for the CCW Southeastern Championship. And I don't know how he does it, but he just, I don't know. Domino, he knows CCW management. He knows the higher ups. There he is. There's the Southeastern champion.
Wow.
He's like Beetlejuice. You say his name enough times, he pops up.
Dale, mira, aquí estamos. Mira, con la jeva aquí al lado, representando. What's up, y'all?
How's it going, my man? Yeah. I mean, we're gearing up. We're gearing up, Domino, for our debut at the Tank. How are you holding up? How are you preparing? I know you must be feeling an array of emotions: excited, nervous, ready, prepared, anxious.
Yeah.
Talk to us.
So I'm not gonna lie. At first, it was Bash at the Brew at Unbranded is such a special show, such a special venue, so many memories. So it feels like we've been like mourning, right? Like we've been grieving. Yeah. But it wasn't until today I was at Tank. I was with the management team over there, the staff, and I was chatting with them and just feeling the energy, just going through the preparations, the final preparations at the venue for the show. Today was finally the day that I was like, you know what? I think we're going to be able to create something even more special here at this venue. The staff, the team, they are ready to go. They're more excited than we are. Supposedly our fans have been reaching out and showing up to the venue already with measuring tape already, and making sure that everything is crazy. No, so the buzz is there. So you know what? I think there's a new opportunity to create not only something special, but a new era, but not only a new era, but the domination era begins now as we defend at the first Bash at the Brew in my city, the 305 MIA. Dale.
Domino, I know you've been in communication with our new people at the Tank, but do you really think that they're prepared for what CCW brings to these shows? I mean, on the card, not only do we have you and Eddie Torres, but we were just talking about Jay Vidal taking Aussie Killmeister for the Cruiserweight Championship. We have yet to even talk about the Crown and South American Lions and a no disqualification match, my man. I mean, we all remember some of the chaos that went down at Unbranded. Absolutely. Is the Tank really ready for some of this?
I think this is.
They might not let us back for 46.
Yeah, I think this is the test. I think this is the test for them to see whether they can deal with us and handle us or not. But I mean, it's Tank Brewing, right? But how's the saying go? Let's get tanked. So I think they're ready for a good time.
Well, some people are going to get tanked at the Tank at Bash the Brew.
Absolutely.
So great to join us here. We were just discussing your match, so let's just get your thoughts. Eddie Torres, how are you feeling when this match was announced, and how are you feeling as far as getting ready to defend your title against someone who is a veteran in wrestling as Eddie?
Absolutely. It's my toughest challenge to date. So it's definitely the toughest task I've had as far as defending this championship against somebody like Eddie Torres, somebody that's sneaky and savvy, and Eric Christopher on his side. But however, the last time I met Eddie Torres in a ring was exactly a year ago. Will be exactly a year ago from Saturday. I made my singles Bash of the Brute debut exactly a year ago against Eddie Torres at Bash of the Brute last year. Around the same time.
It's always lining up for you. Like,
oh, it's just crazy.
How do you get that to happen? Just
I don't know. The universe. It's the universe. The universe. I'm aligned. I try to be aligned with the universe.
You're manifesting these.
Manifestation. But yeah, again, it's the toughest test I've had to date. However, I'm a different Domino. I'm a different competitor. I'm a different wrestler than I was exactly a year ago. And a promise that I've made to myself is that not only is this, again, a new era for CCW and Bash of the Brew, but this is now the domination era where I'm using that to focus and make sure that this is a more, and I feel like I've proved that ever since I started defending the title, especially this last weekend against Fer Rojas, where it's a more intense, a more aggressive, a more physical version of myself, and continue to challenge myself to be the best Southeastern champion possible. And I think, after having that match with him last year, Eric Christopher got involved, and then Eddie Torres, being the seasoned veteran that he is, took an opportunity while my back was turned, trying to get Eric Christopher off the ring. And yeah, I don't think that's going to happen this time, because now I know how to keep my eyes peeled for that sneaky little doctor.
So, Domino, quick question, right? So, in the theme of, you saying that this time last year you debuted and it was against Eddie Torres, I think that it's fair to say that going into that type of match, you were like, I have to beat this guy, right? How does it feel to be on the other side of that equation where Eddie's probably gearing up and he's like, oh, I got a big match on Saturday. I got to beat this guy. Like, how does it feel to have that shift, right? Where they're just like, you don't know how much your life can change in a year.
Absolutely. To be honest, I don't think he's even probably taking me seriously. And that's why I still think that I have a lot to prove, which is why I say, just because I won the Southeastern Championship, I am not complacent. I am not comfortable. If anything, I am hungrier, more motivated to prove and show people that, hey, again, I may be all bright colors, Miami neon colors, and a smile on my face, pero I'm going to show Eddie Torres que el toro soy yo.
Ooh, you heard it here on
Insider. I'm telling you, it's a new version of Domino that everybody's going to start seeing.
Wow.
Yeah, aquí no estoy para jugar, aquí estoy para repartir paliza por todos lados. If you don't know what I said, it means que let's just keep it that way. Because
Tyler and I are just like,
I'm like, he's spitting facts for sure. He's spitting facts.
Tyler and I are like, no hablo español.
We'll provide some Spanish-speaking classes at CCW one day, and I'll be very glad to provide those classes.
Multi-function classes we'll have. But Domino, I wanted to ask you, being the leader of the domination, your rise here in CCW seems it's been so fast. You've climbed the ladder so quickly. It seems like you just like have rose like right in front of our eyes, and it's just amazing to see that South Florida representation. But I gotta ask you, does that pressure, does those thoughts ever creep into the back of your head? You're carrying your whole city on your back. It's good moment after good moment. Does any of that pressure start creeping up on you at all, especially heading into this big weekend? You got that big tag team match against Monster Mosh. Then you got to stay healthy enough to make it to Eddie Torres and then find a way to get a victory. So it's a lot of pressure, a lot of people, a lot of eyeballs. How do you prepare for that? Does that ever creep into the back of your head?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's only right, I'm not going to lie to you. Of course, it's a lot of pressure. However, I think what makes a true champion is how you deal with that pressure, right? And I feel I've proven and will continue to prove that I feel like I function and work best when my back's against the wall. And that's inside and outside of the ring. Whenever you're confronted with tough situations that we all deal with in life, when your back's against the wall, how do you overcome those situations? And I think that translates well. And I'm going to prove that translates into how I function as a professional wrestler as well. So yeah, is there pressure? Absolutely. But I think I'm equipped to show everybody that when my back's against the wall, that I'm here to rise up to the challenge, and through your toughest challenges is where one grows the most. So I'm here to continue to prove, that I can be the best Southeastern champion possible.
Absolutely. And all we can say is best of luck to you this weekend. Can't wait to watch those matches. You and Chacha versus Monster Mosh. It's going to be an unbelievable, fun match. Can't wait to see how the crowd reacts with those two teams. Can't wait to see you step in against Eddie Torres, see if you can avenge that loss. It's going to be an unbelievable weekend. Thank you for joining us.
Gracias a ustedes, los quiero, dale, los veo el sábado. No, el viernes, entonces sábado. That means I said I'll see you guys Friday and then Saturday, and that I love you guys very much, and that thank you for what you guys do for CCW and CCW Insider. Lo quiero.
Muito bem, obrigado.
¿Cómo? Love you guys. Thank you.
Right,
thank you, Domino. Thank you.
Thank you.
Wow, what a surprise.
Domino always coming in with a surprise. I'm telling you, he's got the password to Insider or something. He always just jumps on here, but we always love having him. It's going to be a crazy match. But even throughout all these cards that we have announced, it has not come to the main event until now. And this is as big as a main event as it comes, because it is for the CCW Heavyweight Championship as QT Marshall takes on the Bulgarian Punisher Meadow for the CCW Heavyweight Championship. Has QT Marshall been hearing the murmurs? Has QT Marshall?
Murmurs.
We heard the reactions. At Bachelor Brew 44. They were all behind Ozzy Killmeister. But you know what? QT went in there in that ring, and when he started putting things together, he shut up that whole audience. He is so damn good in that ring. He is such an in-ring veteran. But what happens when he defies Ozzy Killmeister, he defies the crowd that completely against him and all behind Ozzy? He finally starts getting some appreciation, and then Meadow comes in and absolutely destroys him, hitting 6, 7, 8 spears, countless amounts of spears. And now Meadow is his challenger at Bash of the Brew at Tank. Anything can happen, but you got to think Meadow is coming in with all of the momentum in this one. We'll do round table. Axel, let's get your opinions on this one.
Well, what I think it's going to be a great opportunity. Yes, we talk about all those spears that Meadow delivered to QT Marshall, but let's not forget that was after QT had just been through a 20-plus minute match with Ozzy Killmeister. His back was turned, so of course it was easy pickings for Meadow to come and make a statement that he is gunning for QT Marshall's CCW World Championship. Will I give the advantage to Meadow? Only because I'm scared of saying anything otherwise and Meadow finding out that I'm saying that QT is going to come out on top. But to be honest with you guys, I think ever since losing that Southeastern Championship, it re-sparked something in Meadow. I think it really shook him for a little bit after not only losing that championship, but losing that undefeated streak, but wanting to prove that maybe that didn't defy him, that his career is still very young here at CCW, that maybe that streak and that first run as a Southeastern champion was very impressive, but it's not everything that Meadow is. That he has a lot more to offer. And what better way to prove that than going after the very top of the leaderboard, QT Marshall, who when he debuted here with CCW said he was wanting to make CCW his home. Maybe Meadow, as of these few months, has felt a little bit disrespected at QT Marshall, calling CCW his home and not being really as often defending the title. And I mean, you've even heard Meadow go on rants whenever I've talked to him that it doesn't matter where he has to go to find QT, whether it's to the Nightmare Factory in Georgia, whether it's to wherever AEW, whatever city AEW may be in. Meadow has been wanting this one-on-one opportunity with QT, and I think Meadow's not going to stop at anything. That's why this Saturday at Bash at Brew 45, the night is going to be going crazy already from all the previous matches, but a new champion is going to be crowned that Saturday with Meadow walking away with the World Championship that night.
Under duress.
Ooh, big pick there from the Axeman. And
There's a
listen,
lot to handle, guys.
yeah, I think we gotta sit down and we gotta look at it. Where I think when Meadow lost in a way that Southeastern Championship, when he ate his first loss in his wrestling career, it almost cleared the slate a little bit for Meadow.
Yeah.
Seems like it refreshed Meadow. It cleared up his mind and set his goals straight. And that's what we saw at Bash of the Brew, him going out there and absolutely making a big time statement against QT. He knows what it's like to lose. He knows he does not like that feeling of losing, but he's been there. He's lost. He's been at the top, and then he's been at the bottom. We didn't see him for a month, and now he is back. He's in singles action. He has the biggest match of his life going up against QT Marshall, a guy with so much experience, a guy that's been in Ring of Honor, a guy that's been in AEW. He is just, he's the top of the mountain here in the last territory, and Meadow has the opportunity to climb the mountain and spear QT right off of it and become new CCW heavyweight champion. But can he do it? Lisi, can he defeat QT? Because it doesn't seem like a lot can. QT has run through challengers.
Tyler, I think you made a great point. And I think that, like you said, Meadows experienced loss for the first time, right? And I think that it can also, you can look at it similarly to, that first time that you bleed in there, that first time that your eyes see that red, that you taste your own blood, like you turn into an animal. And I think that now, if Meadow was a dog before, he's a wolf now. Like he's really coming in ready to kill. And you see it in him. Like even how you mentioned earlier, Saturday night, him and Jackal Stevens had a freaking brawl on the floor. Still, God knows about what, but it just shows you just what they're bringing to the shows every single weekend. And I think that loss really was a catapult for Meadow. And you saw the energy that he brought to QT Marshall. He didn't care. He said, I don't care if this guy's a champion. I don't care who you are. I don't care where you've been. I don't care how long you've been wrestling. I'm gunning for you. I'm coming to the front of the line and no one's going to stop me. So with that said, Meadow is going to be I'm looking very much forward to saying in new CCW heavyweight champion Meadow this Saturday.
And you can almost feel that that's the pick in the air. It feels like that is what the audience is feeling. That is what most of the time, if you ask
every show, QT's not even there, and they're screaming for Meadow.
Yeah, if you ask, any of our other CCW broadcast colleagues, they'll probably tell you the same thing in Meadow. But I am not. I think that this is too soon for Meadow. I think he's coming back a little bit too soon. I think he's not completely focused. Like you said, yes, he's like that wolf. Yes, he's seen red for the first time. Yes, he just has that championship in his mind of defeating QT. But I think QT is just a little bit more experienced right now. And I think we're going to see QT stun that whole entire audience and walk out and still CCW heavyweight champion, not only because of his experience, not only because of his skill in the ring, just because he's been there, done that, all the biggest challengers. I mean, you look at some of the names he's defeated, like Jackal, like Alex Chamberlain, like Brian Cage. I mean, the big bad wolf comes in and QT just somehow finds a way to win. But Meadow, he could prove me wrong. He could prove everyone right. And the only way you can find out is by getting your tickets to Bash at the Brew at the Tank Bash 45 this Saturday at ccwrestlingfl.com. It is just an unbelievable weekend. I mean, we've spent an hour talking about just nothing but these amazing matches. And to crown it all off with QT and Meadow, it's just going to be mind-blowing. There's going to be carnage over this whole weekend. There's going to be injured bodies. There's going to be so much. It's going to be amazing. It's an unbelievable time to jump on this CCW bandwagon, to join us here in the last territory. And guys, we have ran through all the matches. Axel, why don't you send us off?
Well, thanks for joining us on this episode of CCW Insider. I know we went a little long, but that's what happens when we are just continuing to have multiple shows across the state of Florida. And the only time that you're able to experience it is by joining us. So get your tickets, like Tyler said, at ccwrestlingfl.com. Stay up to date with what we're doing by following us on all our social media platforms, whether that be X, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram at CCW Live TV. And of course, join us here next week when we discuss our return to Tampa for Havoc and Hate 7. Next week at 7:30 here on CCW Insider. On behalf of myself and the rest of us here on CCW Insider, thanks for joining us, and we will see you all next week.
You have been watching CCW Insider, produced by Minutes to Bell Time in association